I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something to the line of, if you've truly forgiven someone, you will not tell anybody ever to forgive someone.
Yes.
But that's very interesting, because a lot of people tell you to forgive people or forgive things.
Yeah, they're just doing that for their own sense of comfort. Yeah, I obviously have very different views on this whole thing because of a lot of different things, not only this universal understanding that I possess, but also having gone through such a profound experience of actual forgiveness. In a space of genuine forgiveness, it's like there's nothing left to forgive. You have so much deep understanding of every angle of the situation that occurred, and there's been such deep healing that has occurred that there is nothing needed left. It means you're done. You're done with it. And I mean genuinely, not like a bypass, not like, I've just forgiven them. Like, that is a bypass. I've got 600 steps here that I need to go through in order to weave what has happened into the tapestry of who I am so that it adds to who I am rather than continues to detract from who I am. And yet I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to jump straight to, I want to be done with it. That's avoidance. So forgiveness is something which cannot be forced. I know that's a controversial view, but I'm genuinely sticking with this. When you have gone through something that is profoundly life-shattering, profoundly traumatizing, you need to drop the concept of forgiveness entirely. What you need to do is to focus on healing. Now, to heal, what does that mean? It means usually to experience the opposite or to experience some form of resolve. So your work is about doing that. Your work is about creating the repair. Your work is about experiencing the opposite. And the steps you take, the journey you go through to get to that improved state will naturally bring you to a space where forgiveness, what people are calling forgiveness, naturally occurs. That means there is no more disruption in your being towards the other person or towards the event or circumstance that occurred. It's almost like I need nothing from you.
I have a situation. Let's hypothetically assume I have a situation where I'm finding it really hard to forgive someone. I'm just done. I want something that I can hold on to, so at least I can start to forgive. I understand that I cannot force forgiveness, but I want to be done with the situation. What would you suggest I do?
Admit that wanting to be done with something is avoidance. Do I have compassion for that state? Yes, I do, because myself more than anybody has been in situations where it's like you're just so sick of putting in the work, basically, that you want to be in a space of peace. I get it. However, when you just want to be done with something, you're not done with it. End of story.
Okay.
So what that means is you need to actually go in the direction of the very painful feelings that still exist. If the painful feelings and that turmoil still exists, you need to go into it still, not away from it. So you would be using processes to go into whatever it is that is triggering, whatever it is that is emotionally painful. Two of my favorite processes for that, one is the emotional experiencing process. Two is the completion process, both of which I teach people to do. So going into those processes, you're able to create a kind of a relief for those emotional states. You're able to also understand the profound messages being carried by the emotion, because these intensely charged emotional states, they carry information about you, information about what you need, right? It's very important to learn that information about yourself so you can take the right actions to resolve whatever it is that you were struggling with. Most of us don't go deep enough into the pain to understand what the hell it is we need. You might be, let's say the two people are both struggling with something that happened and that caused intense levels of jealousy for them. For one person, what they might need desperately and realize that they need after going into the emotion is they might need, somebody who acts as an advocate rather than as an adversary, because that's what they never had, and that's why they feel the sensation. Another person who goes into the very same emotion, right, around a circumstance, might realize that what they're, so desperately needing is something like commitment. I need commitment from someone, and I've never had commitment. Okay, well, that's two different roads, actually, that we're taking. So then you are able to take the steps. And it's not about the other person, right? It's not about the person that screwed you over. It's about, okay, this person who decided, say, that they needed an advocate is like, all right, what does advocacy look like? If a person was an advocate for me, what would they act like? What type of character would they have? Oh, wait, maybe I'm realizing that, if somebody's on the codependent side of the spectrum, they're not going to be somebody with a strong enough character to really be there for me, because in a moment's notice, when they get pinched, they're going to care more about not being in a conflict. So maybe that gives rise to the desire for strong personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that even opens the door for even more healing. Oh, what's interesting is that this is really reminding me of my mom when I was younger, let's say. Mom was somebody who really hated conflict and who didn't stand by any of us when she stood to get in a conflict because of it. And it was deeply damaging. I want the opposite experience. I actually want to be defended. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then maybe you ask one of your friends, or you go find new friends, and then you lay it down to them. What I really want is defense.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden you're in this new chapter of conscious relationships with friends, where
Mm-hmm.
in friendships people know exactly what you want from them, and
Mm-hmm.
you're able to communicate exactly what you want from them, and vice versa. And then maybe you have your next experience where something crap happens, and it's like your friend is like, no, wait, I have an advocate,
Yeah.
and then you can really bring that through your body, and then this whole process brings you to a space where you're like, oh wow, like I see that event that happened. I don't feel the same level of charge around it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got in my life people that are actual advocates for me.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why it happened. Actually, if that hadn't happened, this whole road that I just went down wouldn't have happened. And now my life is so much more rich because of it.
Mm. I love that. And I'm curious of a few things. So firstly, because you said you need more healing, maybe you need more healing, right? Is there an end to it? Is there a way to realize, oh, I've got my healing. I can move on now. When does one know? And I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I've met people who've been healing. From my perspective, not such a big trauma. Like from how they explain it, they're like, I don't know why this is taking you 7 years. Like it's like I get it, and I have no one to judge, but at the same point in time, it feels like, well, there must be at some point they need to heal to move on. It feels like else they will never move on. So I'm curious, is there a way for us to know, feels like this is complete for now? Maybe for now, if not forever.
Well, we have to separate healing from individual circumstances from healing in general. Because the picture of healing in general, you're never going to be done with that.
Yeah, that's human experience, fine.
Not just
Fair.
a human experience, that is the grounds for expansion. But healing from individual experiences, yes, there's a point at which you can know that you are essentially done with it, but that's the point at which you don't care that you're done. So that's prerequisite number one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit dangerous to look at somebody in the face and say, I'm done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, believe me, that's an invitation for the universe to be like, oh, really? Try version 2.0. So first of all, you're not in
But that's
resistance.
expansion, so it's probably good.
Yeah, there you go. So essentially you're going to be more likely to be done when you no longer have the need to be done, and you no longer, you're not even asserting it anymore, because you're like, if there's another layer I don't see, then there's another layer I don't see. You won't feel the same level of charge in your being, emotional charge. And you will have experienced the resolution to whatever it is that harmed you in the first place.